If you're struggling to get your days under control and meet your goals, you're probably making one of these 7 mistakes, but we're going to fix that today. Stay tuned, watch till the end. I'm also going to share with you my framework, which I call UPass, which is essentially what I use to make sure that I'm hitting my goals and moving forward, and also avoiding burnout, number one, first and foremost. So if you've caught up with my recent series, you'll probably know a little bit about me already and where I'm coming from and my journey. And essentially, I'm like the queen of trying to juggle everything at once because I don't really like to just choose one thing and stick to it. Like, I like to try a few different things, you know what I mean? Have my fingers in multiple different pies, all that type of stuff. Which means I had to get like on it when it came to organisation and productivity. It wasn't something I could just wing. For me to have enough time to cater to all these things, as well as have time for myself, which I definitely struggle with and is only a recent lesson I've learned, and also have time for family and things like that, I had to be super strategic with how I use my time and how I distribute the hours in the day. So I'm going to teach you everything I've learned, basically. And to be honest, this is probably like one of my proudest areas of life that I feel like I've actually figured out, is my organisation. Sure, there's always room for improvement, but as of right now, this is a strategy that gets me through life. So mistake number 1 is working straight off your to-do list, as in write the list and then, okay, this is what I've got to do, let's start it. No. Mistake number 1, do not work straight off your to-do list. Like, this is rookie error, and I know you're making this mistake because everyone makes this mistake. Do not do a to-do list and then work from it. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I'm going to show you a better way, which is where the framework comes in. So before you dive into a to-do list, I want you to just unpack everything, the U in UPass. Unpack everything. You could literally do a brainstorm, or you could just write this in a list. Everything that's on your mind. It could be home related, work related, fun related, unrelated, like anything at all. Just write it all down the list. Like, unpack everything that's in your brain onto a piece of paper. I personally use my iPad. I also have my daily dash plan, which you can purchase from my website, which I'll link in the description box. And essentially, I just use like a list format and I just write down everything that's on my mind. Usually it's all relevant things that I've been like brewing for a long time. So yes, first unpack everything onto my iPad and just write a list of all the things that are on my mind. The next thing you want to do is plot. So again, I use my digital planner that I've created, but you can just do this using any planner or any kind of calendar system, whether it's Google Calendars, or if you want a purchase plan, you can also do that as well. And essentially what I'll do is I'll dedicate everything that I've wrote down to a particular time slot throughout the week. So I'll tend to typically fill out my Monday first. So I'll fill out my Monday. Let's say on my list I had, I need to clean the house, I need to cook dinner, I need to meal prep, I need to contact British Gas, like all these things will be on the list. And then I'll just put different time frames throughout the week. So for example, Monday might look like British Gas at 9 AM. It might look like meal prep at 5 PM. And then I might transfer 10 other things from my to-do list and put it onto the calendar at different times on different days, or all on the same day, depending on how I want to structure my days. And once I've done that, I then fill in the gaps in between. Because I'm fully self-employed, I have a lot more flexibility over how I kind of manage my days. If you have a 9 to 5, you might need to just straight away just block out your 9 to 5 hours so that you know you can't really do anything in that time, unless for example you're going to call British Gas on your break, which is absolutely fine, but just put that in at the time that you're going to have your break. But again, because I have a lot of flexibility, I'm going to use that as an example. So in between that, then I might have a few gaps throughout the day, and then I'll just fill that with other tasks, maybe more tasks from my to-do list, and also not forgetting the non-negotiables. For example, having time for breakfast, having time to shower, having time to make lunch, all these different things, but they all are plotted down on my schedule. And this method is often referred to as calendar blocking or time blocking, whichever one you're most comfortable with, but essentially it's just a case of giving everything on your to-do list a dedicated time in the week to complete it. Once you've plotted everything down into the schedule, the next step is to action. So make sure you actually complete the schedule. I find that it's actually easier to work in this way because I don't then have to kind of continuously think throughout the days and be like, okay, what do I need to do next? Okay, how am I going to fit this in? How much time do I need for this? Because I've actually already done that process. So then I just have to stick to the plan, which is S in UPass, stick. Make sure you actually follow the plan. You might find that you've written down something in an hour time slot, but it's actually going to take you 2 hours. That's fine, but give it another time throughout the week rather than just like throw off the rest of the day or make it throw off the rest of the week. Move it to next week, move it to the end of the week, move it to a day that you haven't got as much planned, and just stick to the plan so you don't have to keep overthinking. You might also find that you put down a goal or something that you've written down on your to-do list, but it's too big of a action to just do in one sitting, and you might need to break it down into smaller goals. Again, absolutely fine. You kind of need to fine tune as you go along, but essentially this is the UPass framework, and it's something that I use literally on a daily basis, to be fair. Like, it's just part of my lifestyle. I don't even think about it. It's not a case of, okay, I'm going to try and apply this framework. I just do it naturally. So once I've got my digital planner, as I said, it kind of forces me to follow those steps anyway, because it's 2 pages. The first page is writing a list of all the things that's on my mind, which I actually enjoy doing for just my own mental clarity. And then step 2 is the calendar, whereby I just then plot things throughout the week. And then again, as I said, it helps me because I don't have to continuously think about what I need to do next. So that's mistake number 1. Now, if you're you're someone that just works straight off your to-do list, you're probably also someone that doesn't set time boundaries. Mistake number 2 is not setting time boundaries. So if you've got a task and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna just sit here until it's done. Sometimes there is a season for that and a time for that and it's necessary. Other times it just has an effect on everything else and it makes you feel unproductive, because let's say for example you sit there but it's a task that's going to take a week, but you've given yourself a full day because you think it's enough time, but then you don't finish the task. Now you've got a day where you haven't really ticked off anything, so you haven't even got that endorphin rush of being able to tick off anything because you're still working on the task. Which, mistake, rookie error, like do not give things time blocks. Again, sometimes there's a season for just sitting down and working until something's finished, but other times, and most of the time, I found that that's not necessary and it's actually more beneficial to me to actually just give things smaller time blocks. So I like to work in 1 hour time slots, and if something's going to take me half an hour, I don't then just fill the other half an hour with another bit of work. I probably just give myself that breathing room in case the task takes longer, but then also if I do finish earlier, I can chill, I can break, I can breathe, but I've still managed to tick something off the list for that day. So make sure you are dedicating time boundaries to your tasks. I would also say as well, within that, it's important to not just kind of like blur the work time and the personal time. So if you've got a task that finishes at 5 p.m. and at 5 p.m. it's supposed to be, you know, you watching your favourite soap, but you're like, okay, I'll just, you know, give myself 10 more minutes. Don't do that. Again, sometimes it might be necessary, and if you're strict and you really just mean the 10 minutes and you're going to take that time back somewhere else, fine. But in general, don't make it a habit to kind of just eat into work time and personal time and blend the two and don't have any separation, because what you'll end up doing is probably either predominantly having work time and burning out, or predominantly having personal time and not getting ish done. And I'm not being funny, but I'm not an advocate for that. We get things done around here. So mistake number 3 is ignoring the power of deep work, which is kind of something I've touched on earlier on in the video. But sometimes you need that 2 hours where you're just focused and it's uninterrupted time, you and whatever the task is that you're working on. Again, I typically don't work in time blocks longer than an hour without a break or without some sort of differentiation between tasks. But sometimes it's necessary. So for example, when I'm editing videos, I probably will do that 2 hours. And if it's something that's quite important, like if I have a quick turnaround for client work and it really requires me to get that work done, scheduling that time for uninterrupted important work is really crucial, and it's where you'll probably make the most strides forward, as long as it's not every day. If every day you're doing 2 hour slots but multiple times throughout the day, there's no differentiation between, okay, this is serious work and this is more chill work. But having that time, whether it's once a day or whether it's multiple times a week, really important, and it helps you just kind of move things forward a lot quicker, and you'll find that you tick off goals a lot quicker as well, or more often in general. And this is a time where you want to be like turning off your notifications, you want to be using the do not disturb on your phone and tapping into like, okay, how am I actually going to be able to focus? Me, I am a problem when it comes to my phone. Like if my phone is near me, I'll find that I've started scrolling and I didn't even know that I picked up my phone. It's an issue. I'm aware of it. I'm working on it. My name's Savannah and I've got an addiction to social media. I get it. I'm working on it, okay? This is a safe space, right? So yeah, I found that utilising do not disturb really helps, because if my phone doesn't ping, I won't necessarily remember it's there, but if it starts pinging off, it doesn't matter where that notification's coming from, I might end up on social media. Mistake number 4, not taking breaks. Breaks are so important. Breaks are what enable me personally to work more. The more breaks I have, the more productive I am. It sounds counterproductive, but it's just what happens. And I was definitely someone that thought that I needed to have deep work all the time. I needed to do deep work from 9 a.m. till lunchtime, and then from lunchtime to end of day. No, take multiple breaks throughout the day. Again, if I've scheduled a task that's only going to take me half an hour, but I've scheduled it for an hour, I'm taking that half an hour break and I'm chilling. And when I get back to the next task, I'll probably start, you know, maybe 10 minutes earlier, give myself a bit of a head start, and I just feel ahead of the game and a lot more chill because I'm not rushing to keep to the schedule, and also I'm well rested because I've had a break. So guys, take breaks. Don't make that mistake. And also just within tasks as well, if a task does take you an hour, it doesn't mean that you can't take a break within that hour. Take 5 minutes, maybe every 30 minutes you take 5 minutes, or every 20 minutes you take 5 minutes. Figure out what works for you and like adapt your schedule to fit. Like there's no point going against the grain. It's so much easier if you just figure out what works for you and just go with the flow. It's like floating on a lazy river as opposed to like fighting through the rapids. Like we don't need a struggle life, we want soft life, right? Soft life doesn't mean that you're not a productive babe though. Mistake number 5 is not reviewing your progress regularly. If I wasn't using the method that I do to track my days and my productivity, I wouldn't be able to look back and be like, okay, I've actually achieved these things. Especially when I used to kind of carry around a notepad and things like that. I might lose notepads, I might lose the page that the to-do list's on, and then I'm not able to see what things have actually ticked off. So I feel like having a record so that you're able to go back and review your progress is again really crucial, and it just gives you that little boost sometimes when you feel like you've not moved forward. You can be like, wait a second, my goal for this week was this and this, and I've actually done this and this. So make sure you keep a record of some sort that you can go back and check, and that you're actively reviewing your progress and not just moving on to the next thing. Reviewing your progress is so important. I mean, I feel like everything I'm saying is important, but like they really are important. And that also includes asking yourself what worked this week, what didn't work this week. One thing that I found is that I tend to crash in the week by the time it gets to Wednesday, Thursday. So Monday I'd start off strong. I've got all these greens on my schedule. Tuesday, again, lots of greens. Wednesday, I probably have some greens, start introducing quite a few reds now because I'm just moving slower. And then Thursday, I'd find that there was no data to look at because I'm just not even using my iPad the same way because I've just fell off and I'm burnt out. Friday, probably nothing again. Saturday, I'll probably try and get back on track, but didn't really work. And then Sunday, I'll be back to my full schedule because I'm like, okay, new week, let me refresh. But the reality is, once I paid attention to that, because I did eventually, and I realised, wait a second, this consistent pattern that I'm dropping off every Wednesday, Thursday. So what I do now is actually take Thursday as a reset day. So I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, solid. Thursday, I use it more as like a personal day. So whether that's going to see family, friends, going out, doing a bit of housework here and there, just taking it more chill, giving myself a lot more breaks and taking a slower day that day, which means that I can end the week a lot stronger. So I'll typically then work Friday quite strong and maybe Saturday like a little bit of work here and there if I feel like I need to catch up on stuff. But typically I work 4 solid days, take the break on the Thursday, and then I'll get back to productivity on Sunday. And even on my days off, I still use my calendar method because I still schedule all the things that I need to do that aren't work related. So if I'm going to go to my sister's that day and just spend the whole day at my sister's, I'll still put that in my calendar. I just find that it's a good habit. Like I'm in the habit now of using it regularly anyway. And it just reminds me sometimes when I look back and I look at the previous week, if I feel like I haven't done enough, I'll look back and I'll see, wait a second, you've utilised your time well. So yeah. Mistake number 6, although I don't necessarily think it's a mistake, it's definitely something I would really encourage, which is having theme days. And this is a concept that I actually got from someone called Jade Beeson on YouTube. And with theme days, essentially what it is I dedicate certain tasks to certain days. So like I said, on a Thursday, that is typically more my personal day, so my reset day. And I typically won't do work related tasks on a Thursday. Mondays are usually very much admin days, even though it's not necessarily a work task. I'll call British Gas, I'll check all my emails, make sure I'm on top of that. I'll send out invoices, I'll check all the admin-y stuff, and that's usually on a Monday. Tuesdays are usually film and edit, or I'd like to say they're film and editing days, but I just haven't really been sticking to them. Again, I'm a work in progress too. Wednesdays, again, very much work days, and then Saturday, Sunday, I'm chilling pretty much. Sunday's my reset day. But my point is, having a theme days just means that I'm able to, when I do have that to-do list, I know where to plot the things, and it also just helps me mentally prepare, like before the days even come. I know that on Mondays, they're usually quite laptop intense days because they're admin days. I know that Tuesdays are usually a little bit more of like a fun creative day because I may be filming and editing. So it just helps me, like I don't know, I can't explain it. It does something I just can't really put into words, but it just helps me kind of like mentally prepare for the week and also get more stuff done because I'm not forgetting things. So for example, I feel like when you're not doing theme days, it's easy to neglect certain parts of your life. So it's easy to neglect like the life admin if you do have to call British Gas, if you've got bills to sort out. It's easy to neglect that if work is busy. If you've got theme days and typically on a Monday you sort that stuff out, when Monday comes around, even if you know your busiest things that week is filming and editing, you're going to be thinking, okay, but Mondays I usually do this, let me just get that task done. Or even if you don't get that task done and you do prioritise your deadlines, you still know at the back of your mind that that's what you would typically do on that day, so things don't go missed as much. So yeah, a little tip from me would be to experiment with theme days and try and find themes that fit your lifestyle and your way of working. Now the last mistake is just not having any sort of plan. Like I shouldn't even have to put this one on, but I'm going to because there's someone out there that I'm speaking to. You want to be more productive, but you haven't actually started doing anything towards being more productive yet. It's not going to happen on accident. It very much takes, okay, let me try this, let me try this, let me try this, this doesn't work. Just start something. If you're going to start anything, I would say at least start with a brainstorm. Brainstorm all the things that are on your mind and then try and give it a day that you're going to complete that task or a time block that you're going to complete that task. Just start there. You're not going to stick to it straight away. It's not going to be easy straight away. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not what you're used to doing, but just start somewhere. I feel like a lot of the time we sit and we complain and we're upset about where things are, but we don't do enough to actually change those things. Me, I'm big on accountability. So just change those things, make a change. Like today, go and write a list right now of all the things on your mind that you need to complete. Or before that step, maybe you haven't even written out goals yet. So when you're working, you don't know what you're working towards. In fact, yeah, go and do that if you haven't done that. That is a strong tip I can give you. Sometimes you can get lost if you don't have those goals to focus on. So if you haven't got those goals to focus on, go and find those goals. Just set some. Set some that makes you excited. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could just be go on holiday. Go and set that goal. So to recap, you can avoid these tasks by setting boundaries, planning your days effectively, taking breaks, and actually setting goals to work towards. Let me know which one of these mistakes resonate with you most, that you may be struggling with the most, and let me know any mistakes that you feel like I've missed out, or any tips that you've got for me to increase my productivity in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I feel like I don't get enough comments, I'm not gonna lie. So if you've watched this video, can you leave me a comment so I know that there's people watching, and let me know what content you want to see from me. If you've enjoyed this video, you may enjoy some of the other videos in my playlist that I'm currently working on, which is called Self-Employment. I might think of a better name for that, but for now it's just called Self-Employment. So go and check out that playlist. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.